Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, amazing Leonard. I wasn't sure we were going to stream today. It's Monday, it's February 2nd. I can't believe it either. Apparently we've got more winter coming, but that's not what we're worried about today. We're not worried about how much more winter is going to be happening today. What we're worried about is the fact that this jury waited until the last moment of the day to come back with a verdict. So, court is in session. No, it's not, Emily. You're just quoting Creed. Yes, I am. Court is going to be in session, but it ruins the lyrics. Court is in session, a verdict is in. No appeal on the docket today, but there will be if he's convicted. We know that much. So we are waiting for court to resume. The lawyers were gathering. Remember, not all of the lawyers work in the courthouse, so it was made clear that the verdict is expected to be read at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is just a little more than 10 minutes from now. But because we all need our comfort seal, and yes, I have been refreshing feeds all day because without seeing a fan spin, how do I know that the feed is even still running? I don't know. I didn't realize how much I relied on the movement of the fan to know that the feed was actually still running. I hadn't gotten accidentally paused. But at the very, very end of the day today, what did we learn? Well, at the end of the day today, we started hearing reports from the only people inside the courtroom, which is the court TV production crew. They are the pool for this case. The courtroom was locked today except for production, who was, well, trying to get the perfect focus on the seal for the last couple of hours. They were the only ones in court, and the bailiff went to check on the jury, and from reports, the jury said, can you just give us a little bit more time? Come back in 15 minutes. And when they came back to check, they had a verdict. So they were finalizing the things they needed to do today. And we're going to be getting to court. I'm going to roll the intro. We're going to chat a little bit about this case. We're going to let everybody come in for verdict watch. Not much we can do. But the jury went out to deliberate with only a half a day left on Friday and then a full day today. How long have they been deliberating? Well, how long did they take for lunch today? I don't know. It just depends on how long they took for lunch today. Who knows? But who knows? They could have taken a half hour for lunch. They could have taken 2 hours for lunch. Either way, they deliberated about a half of a day on Friday and then a full court day today. So a day and a half for a 10-day trial? It's not that long, especially because juries don't always love somebody who flipped. They're going to take some time to talk. And wouldn't you want to read the letters? Wouldn't you want to hear the first 911 call again? Because the prosecution's like, it's an evidence. This is an evidence. That's an evidence. All those letters from Juliana, they're in evidence. They read a line here and a line there. Hundreds of exhibits. I want to read the jail letters if I'm a juror. I want to read the jail letters if I'm a juror. I want to read all of them. And they gave them all the tech evidence. I want to read that too. I'm crying on the paper as I write this. Yeah, I want to read that whole letter. It's like 14 pages long or whatever. I would need to know. I would have questions for sure. So we're going to roll the intro. Everybody take a deep breath. How y'all feeling? Leonard, how you feeling? Anybody a little nervous? Right? Crazy, isn't it? The adrenaline of a verdict, even if you're not the lawyer in court. I imagine some of you are just like, what are they going to do? I know. We're going to roll the intro. We're going to go to court and we're just going to wait. Because really, that's all we can do. Not our trial, not our circus, not our peanuts. It just is what it is. But we can roll the intro and we're going back to Virginia, everybody. Let's go. Hey there, I'm lawyer and legal analyst Emily D. Baker, and this is your go-to destination for live court coverage. I break down the law, the strategy, and the evidence in real time so you know what's happening. No law degree required. So join the law nerds in the chat. They're here for the facts, not and let's get to court. Oh, Emily. Elaine! Your mic! It would have been funny if that was intentional. It wasn't. It was just me. Because, well, it looks like, I just got I just got the text that I have been waiting for 7 days now, that the kids are finally going back to school tomorrow in my district. Not to celebrate too much, but it's are we clear yet? Can we go back to school yet? So that was a welcome sign. We are on live court. We are watching the seal because we are supposed to have a jury verdict in just about 10 minutes from now. For those of you just popping into this case, this is one of those cases where it was just it was just a slog. It was a slog for some of the defense case. There were times I was concerned that the prosecution, I'm still a little concerned, honestly, that the prosecution was a little overconfident. There were things that seemed to be shortened, but there were points made that there's no getting around. And I think, honestly, that the defendant made this case easier for the jury by testifying. I think this case would have been harder for them if he hadn't testified. And once you see him on the stand, once you see his demeanor, once you see how he's describing things, once you see that he, in his direct examination, he never once said that he saw any blood on his wife when he came into the room. Seems like he maybe forgot a detail when he was trying to figure out what that scene would look like in the way that he was sharing it. Even if the jury doesn't believe everything that Juliana said, whose version makes more sense? And then choosing to lie about the big meeting, the huge meeting, the career-changing meeting, only to have your boss come in and say, that's not true. And to raise the excellent point that no one's going in for I need to prepare the conference room for all the bosses meeting in jeans. They're not. Federal agents wear suits. It was an excellent point. It was an excellent point. One of those points where I went, oh shit, I didn't even think about that, because we didn't even hear about this big meeting until after we'd seen the defendant's clothes. I wasn't even thinking about that. But yeah, that absolutely makes sense. And so when the boss came in to confirm that that was a lie and that he was so confident sitting up on the jury stand, lying to the jury about this huge career impacting meeting, and that who would plan a murder the day of this huge meeting? Who would do that? I mean, Alec Murdaugh might and be like, no, don't do all this. I lost my wife. Please, I need your sympathy. But who would schedule this on the same day as this huge meeting? Oh, I'm sorry. You have an acting supervisor because your bossy boss is out of the country, and your other bosses that are like your boss's boss, they're all out of the state. So you have an acting supervisor, and even that person's out of the state. And you know what I have to think? You know what I think about that, y'all? You know what I think? I think because that supervisor wasn't on the witness list, he knew that the prosecution wasn't going to call in the other bosses. He knew that they probably weren't on the witness list. But the thing about rebuttal witnesses is that they can be disclosed later. And this was a witness that they didn't know about. And if this case wasn't streamed, I don't know if they would have known about this witness, and I don't know if they would have called this witness. I don't think that the boss would have gone and sat in court and watched. But the defendant looked shook when the prosecutor stood up and was like, excuse me, we have a witness that came out of the blue. Mr. T. Patrick. Mr. T. Patrick has some things to say. When the defendant got onto the stand, half of you were like, he looks pale. Is that the lighting? He was shook. Imagine sitting there knowing the second the prosecutor says that name, that you're cooked, that your boss is going to come in and say that there was no meeting. And I think it's one of the most aggressive cross-examinations we saw from the defense attorney the entire trial. The most aggressive cross-examination we saw was of the supervisor. And notice the defense didn't mention their audio. Like, is this the husky wailing in the background? Didn't mention it once. Didn't mention it once in closing because the prosecution brought in a witness and the witness folded a piece of paper and we all went, you gotta be joking me. Look at that. Who thought the word crossfade would outpower the word catfish in this trial? But damn, it sure did. The prosecution's rebuttal case really shifted things, didn't it? And the defense saying in their closing, well, half of the prosecution's case came in during our case. Really, sir? Really? Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did. A lot more evidence came in for the prosecution during your case in chief, but that's not a win for you. That's not a win for you. That's not a win for you. So when during closing, he was like, I was kind of laughing about how much evidence came in during my case. I was like, bro, what? Like, bruh. What are we doing? Also, I was looking through some of the evidence, and we'll do this on another stream a different day. I was looking at some of the evidence. I'm not joking, law nerds, when I tell you that in that letter of the like, I weep for our future together, one of the baby names they were considering, Chloe. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding you. One of the baby names that the Juliana and Brendan were considering was Chloe. I know. You cannot make it up. It 100% was. I was like, you've got to be kidding. We're going to go through some of those letters on another stream another day because I was like, you've got to be joking me that one of the baby names they were considering was Chloe. Stop it. Just stop it. Wild choice. Wild choice, my guy. So we are purportedly, oh, that was me. I was shifting screens around. Hold on. Let me shift screens around real quick. We are purportedly moments away from the jury being read in the Banfield case. Remember, the lawyers have to get to court before the verdict can be read. We are waiting for the lawyers to come to court. Anyone think the defense attorney is going to be within 10 minutes of court? Also remember, they have to change Banfield out of jail clothes into civilian clothes. They're not going to do that until they know there's a reason for him to go into court. There are some things that they need to do. So we are waiting for them to go to court. We are waiting. We are on live time, waiting for, court is in session and for them to read a verdict. That's what we're waiting for today. So, law nerds, how you doing? How you doing? Good? Right. Some of you are already asking if there is going to be sentencing today. No, I do not think there will be sentencing today. I think they will set a sentencing date. I'm just readjusting my in-ears because I can't stream without readjusting my in-ears. For those of you that are asking, a number of you did, as we wait for court to get to getting. How the weekend was, it was a lot of driving. Travis had a great interview. It was a lot of driving. It was cold. It was a lot of driving, but it was good. I got to spend some great time with my 17-year-old, and those moments are, well, as we speed towards graduation, I can feel it viscerally. I can feel it in my soul that we are zooming towards graduation, but it was great. So I'm just tired. I'm just tired. I am so tired. I am so tired. So we are just waiting for court, and I am hearing the first rumblings from court.
Proceedings in this case to the best ability under penalty of law. Thank you.
Banfield is in court.
I understand. You can be seated. Thank you.
The jury is present.
We have a verdict. Are we ready for the jury?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Ladies
Jury's
and
not
gentlemen,
present
just
yet.
a reminder that I cannot tolerate any outbursts in the courtroom at the time of the verdict reading, please. Thank you.
I'm going to leave our closed captioning on. The jury's coming in. All right. They are bringing in the jury now. It is 5:02 Eastern. We are ready to roll, everybody. So, it seems perfect that Deputy Queen is with us for verdict. So I love seeing which collar Judge A has on a given day. Remember, Brendan Banfield is charged with he is charged with 1 count of aggravated murder under 2 different theories. The 1 count of aggravated murder is aggravated because there are 2 victims. He is also charged with a count related to child endangerment. I don't remember the exact title of the charge, but there are 2 theories of aggravated murder. He cannot be sentenced for both. He can only be sentenced for 1. Let me move me out of the way a little bit. She's counting the jurors so everybody can say hi to Deputy Queen. So I expect we will hear the verdicts on the different. He can be convicted or acquitted of both counts of aggravated murder. He can't be sentenced on both. They'll just be merged.
Juror number 9, you were the foreperson in this case, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And here we go.
Are these the verdicts of the jury?
Yes, it is.
And are they unanimous?
Yes, it is.
All right, we're going to publish all the verdict forms are in order, which is nice.
In criminal case number
And here we go.
FE 2024-666, count 1, we, the jury on the issue join in the case of the Commonwealth of Virginia versus Brendan Robert Banfield defendant, find the defendant guilty of aggravated murder of Joseph Ryan and Christine Banfield as part of the same act or transaction.
Guilty of aggravated murder.
2024-666.
This is the second theory.
Count 4, we, the jury on the issue joined in the case of the Commonwealth of Virginia versus Brendan Robert Banfield defendant, find the defendant guilty of aggravated murder of Joseph Ryan within the same 3-year period during which he did also kill and murder Christine Banfield. In case number FE 2024-666, count 5, we, the jury on the issue joined in the case of the Commonwealth of Virginia versus Brendan Robert Banfield defendant, find the defendant guilty of using a firearm in the commission of a felony. In case number FE 2024-873, count 1, we, the jury on the issue joined in the case of the Commonwealth of Virginia
child
versus
abuse.
Brendan Robert
Child
Banfield
endangerment.
defendant, find the defendant guilty of child endangerment.
All right, would either side like the jury polled?
I'm sure the
Yes,
defense
Your
would.
All right.
Members of the jury, if this is your verdict, please answer yes. If this is not your verdict, please answer no.
They're polling the jury.
Juror number 2. Juror number 5.
Yes.
Juror number 9.
Yes.
Juror number 10.
Yes.
Juror number 12.
Yes.
Juror number 19.
Yes.
Juror number 22.
Yes.
Juror number 25. Juror number 28.
Yes.
Juror number 32.
Yes.
Juror number 34. Juror number 37.
Yes.
Thank you.
The
court
jury's
does
been
find that
polled.
The jury verdict is unanimous at this time. Ladies and gentlemen, this completes your service in this case, and I know I speak for everybody that we thank you in this difficult case for all the time and attention you've taken to it. I do need you to go back to the jury room for one more time, and I'll be back there.
And
in
then
a
I'll
few
be back
minutes
to say
talk
goodbye
you, before you
and
leave,
dismiss
okay?
you.
All right, so you're excused to the jury.
They're going to go wait in the jury room till she dismisses them. There's going to be a few things she needs to do with the attorneys. And then if we need to go back, for anybody just coming in, we'll go back and we will rewatch the jury, guilty on all counts. Remember, those aggravated murder counts will merge for sentencing. They will not be sentenced twice. And that's going to be a life without parole sentence. There's really not much we can do with that.
Mr. Banfield, in accordance with the jury verdict, I do find you guilty of aggravated murder on count 1 of 2024-666, and also count 4 of 2024-666, and count 5, commission of a felony with a firearm of 2024-666. Also, on count 1 of 873 of child endangerment, I do find you guilty as found by the jury. Do you wish to have a pre-sentence investigation report, Mr. Carroll?
Why?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, I'll order a pre-sentence investigation report
Fine.
for this case. What date did you want to set this for?
I don't know what dates you would have available.
I could set it for, do you
How long does the report take?
plan to have victim impact statements, I
Yes, ma'am.
assume, and testimony? I mean, I could put it on, well, any day before July 1st.
Understood.
I'm retired then, so let's,
Judge A's retiring July 1st. Judge A. Okay.
Pick,
Excuse me, Judge A, the chat has a suggestion. Judge A, the chat has a suggestion. We know that February 23rd is in fact his birthday and that he's going to be real upset about not getting big cookies. Could we do big sentences maybe on January 23rd, Your Honor? I mean, it's not a big cookie, but I mean, it's just later this month. Why not?
is April far enough for you?
April?
Mr. Carroll?
I may just look at my.
Sure.
Would there be a particular? date?
April 17th is my sentencing day.
Okay.
Judge, that is the one day in April we would
You
not.
can't do, okay. Well, we can make it a different date in April. I mean, I do have March 20th, but that might be too quick.
No, March is good, Your Honor. Is it going to take him 3 months to do a pre-sentencing report? It's an LWOP case. But they need to do a pre-sentencing report on the child endangerment.
Doesn't work for you, huh?
No,
No.
but
They
if
already
you
said
don't want
that.
to go to, I mean, we could go to May 8th. I have May 8th available, or I could make it any Friday that you want to go to in April, if that's too far for you, Mr. Carroll.
May 8th is available, Judge. It's only 2 weeks away from April 17th.
Okay, May
so-
8th.
That's fine.
All right, we'll set it for sentencing then on May 8th, and we have the pre-sentence investigation report by that time.
All right.
And if you need it for a special time, just let me know if we need to move it from the
Yes,
10
ma'am.
o'clock time.
As soon as we've
Okay.
had a chance to speak with the
All right.
witnesses and the victims' families.
All right, anything further for this matter at this
No,
time?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. May 8th. I see a lot of you in the chat saying, can we name call him now? No, we can't. We do a really good job of not name calling. However, I think our feelings have been made clear either way. Does this verdict surprise me? No. Is this a relatively quick verdict, all things considered? Yes. Does it feel that way after some of the cases that we have watched? Not necessarily. Because in some of the cases that we have watched, we have seen verdicts come back much faster. But when you are looking at a case with a co-defendant who flipped, it is going to take the jury time. They're going to want to evaluate both stories, especially when the defendant testified. And I have seen that when jurors aren't necessarily overwhelmed by the defense attorney's work, sometimes they actually take a little bit more time making sure they didn't miss anything, making sure that they actually have covered everything, making sure that they feel comfortable in what they're doing. It is a heavy weight on the jury to convict someone of murder. It is. It is a heavy weight. And they were convicting him of 2 murders. And remember, there were 2 murders on 2 different theories. So does it change anything that he gets sentenced now or sentenced May 8th? Not really. They're going to do a pre-sentencing report because the sentence on the child endangerment is going to be a range versus the aggravated murder, which is going to be life without the possibility of parole. That one's done. But he does get the opportunity to argue sentence on the child endangerment, and he might get the opportunity to argue sentence on the weapon charge. How much does it matter? It can always matter on appeal. It can always matter on appeal because laws change, sentencing guidelines change. It can always matter on appeal. All right. For those of you just coming in, hi, good to see you. We can go rewatch that real quick if you would like to, chat. Would you like to? We may see some interviews after court. I know that Team Baker will keep an eye out, and we may see some interviews after court. We'll keep an eye out, but we'll go back and rewatch the verdict coming in. It comes in really quick. I know sometimes it's hard to process how fast it comes in. So let's just go do a verdict rewatch real fast. Because yeah, it was quick. That was just a few minutes from the time the jury came in and gave the judge the verdict forms. Do you remember, and Depp heard when I think I said, look, sometimes the judge needs to check the verdict forms in case there's errors. And the judge was like, yeah, I need you to go back and fill this out. And we were all just like, what? It happens sometimes that there are errors on verdict forms, and that verdict forms can need to be sent back and filled out again. So don't worry, we'll keep an eye on whether or not there are other interviews, whether the prosecution says anything after court. I can't imagine that the defense will. Maybe he will, which is going to be, we're going to appeal. We don't think there's sufficient evidence, what have you. However, remember, every time somebody appeals, they will always find some grounds for appeal. But whether or not that changes anything, the defendant testifying really can end you up in a situation where it's like, yes, there's an appeal. Yes, even if they say, yes, there is error here, you can still see an appellate court saying there's error here, but it's harmless because of all of this. So so there's that. Mixed Up Meg says, what is a pre-sentence report? They go over the defendant's history, criminal history. They interview the defendant. Sometimes they interview the defendant's family, and probation or parole puts together a report and recommends a sentencing. And it is a very formalized report. Every jurisdiction is slightly different on the information they put in there, but it's a formal report to the judge talking about the case. They can also interview victim family members. So it brings a full picture of the defendant to the court. And generally, when there's only one sentence, you don't necessarily need a report done. But again, the defense is going to do all the check boxes that they need to do. Carolyn asked, is Juliana released now? No, Juliana is not released now. Juliana has not been sentenced yet. Let's talk about that for a second, and then we'll go back and watch this verdict come in one more time, because I think it's helpful to point out Juliana has not been sentenced yet. Juliana's plea deal was that the prosecution would reduce the charge, so she pled to a manslaughter, and the prosecution is going to recommend a time-served sentence. But the maximum on that is 10 years. The judge can sentence her to time served, 10 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. There's a range in there. The judge can choose to sentence her within that range. So the judge can't say, I'm not sentencing her on a manslaughter. I'm going to sentence her on an aggravated murder. The judge can't do that. But on a manslaughter, the judge can sentence her to anywhere from the recommended to the maximum. And that is up to the judge. And yes, when Juliana gets sentenced, if we are not in court on other things, we will keep an eye on that sentencing. If it does not get put over, remember, court dates are not fixed and finite. Sometimes court dates change, and Juliana's attorney might want to wiggle that court date. The prosecution might want to bring in impact statements for that court date. Probably not if they're asking for time served. But we'll see. So Judge A will get to choose what that sentence is. So let's go back and watch that verdict come in one more time, just because it's hard to process information the first time, and B, it's fast, and it went by fast, and it goes by fast. It's real fast. So let's go. It is just a moment before the judge comes in and advises the attorneys that there's been a verdict. And we're going to watch that now. There we go. Without a spinning fan, it's so hard to tell if we're moving or not.
You swear affirm to accurately take and transcribe the proceedings in this case to the best of your ability under penalty of law. Thank you.
All right, I understand. You can be seated. Thank you. I understand we have a verdict. Are we ready for the jury?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, just a reminder that I cannot tolerate any outbursts in the courtroom at the time of the verdict reading, please. Thank you.
All right, we're just rewatching the verdict for all of you coming back in now, or just coming in now. We are rewatching the verdict be read, and then we will answer some questions. We'll take a look and see if there's any press conferences, or if anybody has a statement outside of the courthouse. We know the outside of the courthouse well, so we will take a look and see, and answer questions and wait. But I can now say court is in session. The verdict is in. No appeal on the docket today. Just my own sin. Yes, Emily, you're quoting Creed again? I am. We're going for a 2-4. 2-4? Sure. Good. Did I mention that I drove like 17 hours this weekend? It was a lot. It was a lot. My brain is we're a little tired. Though going to see Creed live with Dr. B&T was a lot of fun. All right.
All right. And juror number 9, you were the foreperson in this case, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And are these the verdicts of the jury?
Yes, it is.
And are they unanimous?
Yes, it is.
You know
In
what?
criminal case number FE 2000.
Hey, Brendone. A, it looks like you're shorter than your attorney, just saying. B, sir, where are the eyebrows? Where are the eyebrows, man? Where did the eyebrows go? We had a whole lot of eyebrows going on. Days on the stand of the eyebrows. Where'd they go? So weird.
2024-666, count 1.
Yes, those are the last 3 numbers of the indictment. Yes, it is. They are reading the indictment by the last 3 numbers because there are 2 indictments here. The first indictment was on the murder charges. The second indictment was on the child endangerment. So there are 2 indictments. That's why they are reading the 2 indictments by the last 4 numbers.
We, the jury on the issue, join in the case of the Commonwealth of Virginia versus Brendan Robert Banfield, defendant, find the defendant guilty of aggravated murder of Joseph Ryan and Christine Banfield as part of the same act or transaction. Case number FE 2024-666, count 4. We, the jury on the issue, joined in the case of the Commonwealth of Virginia versus Brendan Robert Banfield, defendant, find the defendant guilty of aggravated murder of Joseph Ryan within the same 3-year period during which he did also kill and murder Christine Banfield.
Just a quick note on that, since we are watching the verdict be read in a second time. First of all, Deputy Queen is definitely keeping a close eye on Banfield, because once a guilty verdict has come in, sometimes people do things. So Deputy Queen is also now on like a, dude, you're not gonna do anything weird, right? We're on like, don't do anything weird watch. Like, don't do anything weird. Like, don't shift your weight too quickly. Second, there were 2 theories that the prosecution presented. We talked about this last week. There are 2 theories that the prosecution presented to the court that they could find him guilty on. Both of them are aggravated murder. One of them is within the same occurrence or transaction, like at the same time in the same course of action. The other one is 2 murders within 3 years. It is the 2 murders that make this an aggravated murder. A first-degree murder is not a life without parole case. A aggravated murder is a life without parole case. They will not sentence him on both of those. It's only one, because there's 2 murders, which is 1 count of aggravated murder. The jury said, yes, this was part of the same transaction or same time. And yes, this was within 3 years. So they found him guilty on both of those. They'll merge for sentencing. So he'll be sentenced on one of those indictments to life without parole on that indictment. Let's go to the other counts now. Hopefully
Case
that helps
number
clear it up.
FE 2024-666, count 5. We, the jury on the issue, joined in the case of the Commonwealth of Virginia versus Brendan Robert Banfield, defendant, find the defendant guilty of using a firearm in the commission of a felony. In case number FE 2024-873, count 1, we, the jury on the issue, joined in the case of the Commonwealth of Virginia versus Brendan Robert Banfield, defendant, find the defendant guilty of child endangerment.
All right. Would either side like the jury polled?
So those are the other 2 counts in the indictment. The child endangerment count is really what the sentencing has some room in. And then the weapon allegation, I don't know if there's a set amount of time, but the court will have the chance to sentence him to life without parole, and then whatever time on the child endangerment and whatever time on the weapon charge. I imagine it will just be all, just like all plus all. I can't imagine a sentence that's not, this is the most we can sentence you to, and even that's not enough, but here you go. I imagine the option for the court will just be all. So he will get sentenced to life without parole plus however many years are available. That's
Yes,
not
Your Honor.
shocking.
All right.
Members of the jury, if this is your verdict, please answer yes. If this is not your verdict, please answer no. Juror number 2. Juror number 5.
Yes.
Juror number 9.
Yes.
Juror number 10.
Yes.
Juror number 12.
Yes.
Juror number 19.
Yes.
Juror number 22.
Yes.
Juror number 25.
Yes.
Juror number 28.
Yes.
Juror number 32.
Yes.
Juror number 34. Juror number 37.
Yes.
Thank you.
The court does find that the jury verdict is unanimous at this time. Ladies and gentlemen, this completes your service in this case, and I know I speak for everybody that we thank you in this difficult case for all the time and attention you've taken to it. I do need to go back to the jury room for one more time, and I'll be back there in a few minutes just to talk to you before you leave, okay? All right, so
All right.
you're excused to the jury room. Thank you.
I'm going to go switch feeds real quick. They set the sentencing date for May 8th. The day after my birthday. This dude. You know, I wasn't going to cover this case, and now here we are with sentencing for May 8th. Of course we are. Just of course we are. Why wouldn't we be? All right, we're going to go take a look and see if any of those press conferences have started outside of court. Let me mute that real quick and take a look, because right now I just see the road. It looks like that has not begun yet, that they are still setting up. There we go, to now be getting to some press conferences in the moment. So we will go to those press conferences now. I have no idea who is going to speak or what they're going to say. I do know that, well, hopefully they'll state their name for the record, and we will go see that. When I said I just saw the road, that this is what we were looking at. It was just the cars. It was just the cars. So we will go take a look at that now. Media scrums are always entertaining because they literally do scrum. Right now, if you're like, Emily, I can't hear anything, fair. It was in mono. I'm getting a note. There we go. I was literally getting a note from production that it was no longer in mono because Team Baker is literally the best and they have the Lawnards in mind always. There we go. There we go. It's an artistic choice. The dramatic blur is the extreme close-ups and the dramatic blur.
Okay. Everybody else good?
I do.
All right.
That was me. Hold on.
All good? Okay. Sure, not a problem. First of all, guys, I just want to say thank you very much for
I do recognize victim Joseph Ryan's mother here in the glasses. She recently gave a media interview. I recognize her from that. So we will take a look and see. I imagine this is their family attorney. Hopefully he'll state his name, but we'll see. So I imagine this will be from victim Ryan's mother. Let me find my closed captioning real quick and make sure I have that for y'all before we do anything else, because I want to make sure I have that up on the screen and I need to switch screens real quick. So let me grab our closed captioning and then we'll be good. So I can't imagine how difficult this case must have been for victim Ryan's family. I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine how difficult.
for covering this case dutifully.
Oh no, that was the other prosecutor. I'm sorry, Chad. I was like, why do I recognize her? I thought it was his mother. We'll fix it in post. Completely wrong. Emily.
Survey says.
Right. Right. Thank you, chat. I was like, it does look like his mom, though. It really does. She also looks like his mom. Statement stand, wrong person. We'll fix it in post. It'll be fine.
Thankfully, there were obviously a lot of salacious details in this case that caused it to get a lot of attention. But at the end of the day, this case is about two people, two neighbors of ours that were murdered almost 3 years ago here in Fairfax County. We take that very, very seriously.
Where did my closed captioning go? Give me one sec, chat. I would rather have closed captioning. I'm going to try to modify the sound just a little bit too. It's not like we're going to miss anything breaking. We've already seen the verdict. I do not know if this is the elected DA, though that would be my guess, given that I can barely see the other prosecutor, the eyeball peeking out there. So I would guess that that is the other prosecutor, but let me just make sure that, I don't know why it didn't pop back up, but it's all right. We'll make sure that it does now. And
To start off, I just want to
where
thank
did it go? Hold on, sir. Hold on. You hold on. We'll come back to press conferences once I find my closed captioning, which is going to be stuck on a screen here somewhere. Give me 1 second.
great detectives of the
No!
Fairfax County Police Department that
Is it really a stream if Emily doesn't fight with the technology? I don't think it is anymore. Actually a stream if Emily doesn't fight with technology. It just isn't. It just doesn't. That's not how we roll anymore. We must fight with technology for it to be a stream, obviously. All right, let's try this again, everybody.
Hey, is the audio?
Still don't have it. That's so weird. Give me 1 sec. Did I pull this up in the wrong browser window? Aha! User error, as always. It is user error. Emily, why don't we cover breaking news? This is why. This is why. I like time to prep. Time to make sure I have the right things pulled up in the right places. Exactly. All right. Let's do this one more time with feeling. And we will have both our closed captioning and a press conference with who I think is probably the elected DA, because that would make the most sense, and closed captioning, which is ongoing now because they are still outside the courthouse talking. So we're gonna get us there in real time, and I'm gonna fix the sound while we do it too. All right, let's go back to this. Let's go back to this press conference, shall we? There we go.
Hey, is the audio okay? I'm used to it. I can wait.
I mean, is the audio okay? Kinda, but I'm gonna work on it real quick on my end. That's better.
Okay. Everybody else good?
All right, there we go.
All right. You're all good? Okay.
Great.
Sure, not a problem. First of all, guys, I just want to say thank you very much for covering this case dutifully and respectfully. There were obviously a lot of salacious details in this case that caused it to get a lot of attention. But at the end of the day, this case is about two people, two neighbors of ours that were murdered almost 3 years ago here in Fairfax County. We take that very, very seriously. And to start off, I just want to thank the great detectives of the Fairfax County Police Department that put in yeoman's work to get this case here. I also want to thank the people in my office that put in hours during the last couple of years, not least of which are the three people standing behind me.
Oh, I know the sound is rough, chat. That's why I felt very strongly about closed captioning. It is rough. It sounds like whichever media outlet has their sound settings to try to cut the background feed, but it's cutting so much. I know it's hard. It is the sound on their end. It's really tough. It is the way they have their gain set to try to cut out the background noise in the traffic. It is tough.
Sylvia
I agree.
Villanueva, Kelly Sprisler, and Jenna Sands. You all saw
It's really
how
tough.
complicated this case was. A lot of digital evidence, a lot of forensic evidence. And this team behind me put it together in a way that a jury could understand. And they did it with professionalism and skill, the type that you will only see in a modern prosecutor's office like that we have here in Fairfax County. So at the end of the day,
I mean, I
am
could have done with
very,
more
very
digital evidence,
pleased
honestly.
that we are able to stand here successfully having gotten justice for Joe Ryan and Christine Banfield. So who has
And that's the
questions?
point.
Yeah.
See, how would you describe someone who would not only carry out these murders, but make up a story
The media's first question is, can you name call the defendant? How would you characterize him? Do you have your DSM-5 on you? What are you going to call? Will you call him names, please? Ugh, stop it.
like he did, and then get on the witness stand and tell it again?
It's monstrous. I mean, that's really what it is. It's monstrous. I mean, we are the safest jurisdiction, safest large jurisdiction anywhere in America, meaning we don't have a lot of homicides, but I've been doing this job for a while, and I can tell you that this defendant stood out to me highest above all the other murder cases.
It's a really horrific case. It's a really horrific case. Yeah, it is. It's a horrific case.
That we've done in my 6 years here.
Steve, in Juliana's proffer, there were, obviously that was 4 hours long, there was a lot of details. I mean, there was a lot that your office chose maybe not to get into. Talk about what you wanted to highlight for this jury, what you thought was needed to successfully prosecute this case, and maybe some things that you chose not to introduce.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot in this case. There were a lot of rabbit holes to run down. We knew two things going into this case. The case was about the blood. This case was always going to be in the blood. You heard it right from Jenna's opening statement. This case was about the blood. We knew that before we even charged this case.
I modified the audio just a little.
The second thing is
that's why
we want it to be
changed.
surgical. We want it to be in. We want it to be out. We didn't need to go through every single little thing.
You definitely didn't. That was definitely a choice. That was definitely a strategy. It was a strategy. They really did want to do this case quickly. And it sounds like they did.
We didn't want to confuse the jury. We didn't want to burden them. We didn't want to put them to sleep. What we really wanted is we wanted the high level stuff. And you saw that. You saw us focus on the blood. You saw us use Juliana or have Juliana come up there to give flavor to what happened in that room. And then we used the blood, we used the digital forensics, we used everything else to support that and give flavor to that. So I think we asked for 4 weeks, but as we got into the trial, we realized that we could do it much quicker and much more.
Y'all got close. Y'all got close to too quick. I think y'all got close to too quick. Yeah.
More effectively than if we took all 4.
Detail, sir. Detail would be a better word for us. Detail would be a better word. Yeah, I agree with you, Chad.
Defense saying she has always maintained backing up Brendan Banfield.
It sounds like the media is asking, and closed captions picking it up pretty well. How are they addressing the defense's arguments?
The very last minute here, and almost saying that you guys were too tunnel focused. Without Juliana's proffer, I mean, do you think we could have gotten to this result?
I think we can. As a matter of fact.
So they are asking about what this case would look like without Juliana's proffer. However, I also got a note from producer Magdalena that the better sound can be had elsewhere, and we're going to just switch because A, we can, and B, terrible audio hurts my soul. Like, just if we don't have to, I'll deal with a ticker to not have to deal with that audio. That was pretty miserable. That was pretty miserable. So I'm going to switch over feeds and get us to where we were just, and then
we know the police.
Oh, that is much better. So I'm going to back us up a little bit and cover this from a different feed, because that was abysmal, and I hated every minute of it. Yeah, I hated it. Couldn't hate it more. Hated it 100%. So I'm just going to back this up. We're going to cover probably a little bit of what we just covered in addition to the rest of the press conference, to make sure we A, didn't miss anything, and B, everybody could hear, because it was rough. But again, outside of a courthouse on the street is a difficult thing to do for media. So let's go back to this press conference and take a look, and then we will get to some questions now that, the verdict is in, and we will get back to press conferences with the elected DA from Court TV's cameras. The audio is just much better The audio is just much better.
proffer and cooperate with us. So we had
Oh, but it was mono. All right, let me. I thought it would not be mono, so I could unswitch the audio so it didn't echo like it did last time. So we're going to get that out of mono in just 1 second because I didn't realize that it was. All right, I'm going to be switching from mono. Give it 1 second. If you can't hear it because you have one earbud in, don't worry, I'm going to be switching that real quick. But their noise gate isn't nearly as bad.
plan to go forward with just the blood evidence and everything else, and we felt that even with that, we could have put this case on. Now, of course, as a prosecutor, if you have somebody in the room and they want to proffer, they want to turn state's evidence, you're not going to turn that down. You're going to investigate that. We did that proffer. She told us some things that we had not known. We did check on her story. We felt confident in that story, confident enough to offer.
I'm going to back this up just a little bit more to the beginning of that answer because it seems to cut in from where that other interview picked up. It doesn't seem like they have the first part of that interview. So I think that's really helpful knowing that we can back this up just a little bit more to get to the beginning of that interview because we saw the beginning of that interview on another feed. So we're going to zoom again. All right.
I'm used to it. I can wait.
Good. Just take two.
Okay.
Marker.
Everybody else good?
Live. All right. We're good.
All good? Okay.
We're good.
Sure, not a problem.
Let's go.
First of all, guys, I just want to say thank you very much for covering this case dutifully and respectfully.
There we go.
There were obviously a lot of salacious details in this case that caused it to get a lot of attention. But at the end of the day,
there were a lot of
this
details.
Case is about two neighbors of ours that were murdered almost 3 years ago here in Fairfax County. We take that very, very seriously. And to start off, I just want to thank the great detectives of the Fairfax County Police Department that put in yeoman's work to get this case here. I also want to thank the people in my office that put in hours during the last couple of years, not least of which are the three people standing behind me, Sylvia Villanueva, Kelly Sprisler, and Jenna Sands. You all saw how complicated this case was. A lot of digital evidence, a lot of forensic evidence, and this team behind me put it together in a way that a jury could understand, and they did it with professionalism and skill, the type that you will only see in a modern prosecutor's office like that we have here in Fairfax County. So at the end of the day, I am very, very pleased that we are able to stand here successfully having gotten justice for Joe Ryan.
I mean, the jury got it.
So who has questions?
Yeah. There we go.
How would you describe someone who would not only carry out these murders,
right? The media
story.
The media asking for the headline. You can hear the media asking for the headline, right? Elected DA calls Brendan Banfield. I hate this so much. I get it, but also must we?
Like he did, and then get on the witness stand and tell it again.
It's monsters. I mean, that's really what it is. It's monsters.
I hate those questions.
We are the safest jurisdiction, safest large jurisdiction anywhere in America, meaning we don't have a lot of homicides, but I've been doing this job for a while, and I can tell you that this defendant stood out to me highest above all the other murder cases that we've done in my 6 years here.
Steve.
The facts of this case is one of the more horrific types of murders you're going to see, where a third party not connected to the victims at all lured someone to the home to set them up for the murder, knowing that they were going to murder them. Going on to FetLife to find someone who you know you're planning to murder, to hunt for a victim who you are going to hopefully set up, knowing that you're going to kill, is a different thought process. It is hunting for a victim. That is not something that can be understated, and that's not something we see in every case that we see. It is very clear that Brendan Banfield is someone who should never be free from custody again. Ever. Ever.
In Juliana's proffer, there were, obviously that was 4 hours long. There was a lot of details in there. There was a lot that your office chose maybe not to get into. Talk about what you wanted to highlight for this jury, what you thought was needed to successfully prosecute this case, and maybe some things that you chose not to introduce as evidence.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot in this case. There were a lot of rabbit holes to run down. We knew two things going into this case. The case was about the blood. This case was always going to be in the blood. You heard it right from Jenna's opening statement. This case was about the blood. We knew that before we even charged this case.
I really think y'all should. I think there was more room to focus on the tech, y'all. I really do. I think there was a lot more room for tech here, but they felt strongly about the blood evidence. I think there was a lot more room for tech evidence, but again, not my case. I also am completely biased because I look at things from a tech angle first. So I think jurors, depending on the jury, I think jurors really understand the technology really well. And I think there was a lot in the technology that showed that this absolutely was not Christine Banfield. I think that combined with the blood evidence is incredibly strong. But I think the tech is really strong here. I'm surprised they didn't grab another tech expert after everything that went down. But it seems that there's a lot underlying this case that we don't know. So it seems that there was a lot that went on. But here we go.
The second thing is we want it to be surgical. We want it to be in, we want it to be out. We didn't need to go through every single little thing. We didn't want to confuse the jury. We didn't want to burden them, and we didn't want to put them to sleep. What we really wanted is we wanted the high level stuff, and you saw that. You saw us focus on the blood. You saw us.
I think that was also, I don't know if this prosecution team could have known what the defense would do and how the defense would choose to make their case, but they played their opponent very well. Their case was much clearer than the defense. And if the defense had tried their case differently, it might not have gone as well for the prosecution. But every time they stood up on cross, it's like, oh, damn, look at that. Huh. Wild. And the way the defense attorney tried the case made the prosecution's case better. It's real hard to plan for that, though. It's real hard to plan for that.
Use Juliana or have Juliana come up there to give flavor to what happened in that room.
Yeah, I hate that turn of phrase.
And then we used the blood, we used the digital forensics, we used everything else to support that and give flavor to that. So I think we asked for 4 weeks, but as we got into this trial, we realized that we could do it much quicker and much more effective.
Yeah, y'all asked for 4 weeks. You asked for 4 weeks, and I told the law nerds, I love you. However, the Corey Richins case is coming up. And I cannot do 4 weeks of this case and 4+ weeks of that case back to back to back. We cannot. So yeah, you all said it was 4 weeks. I relied on it being 4 weeks. And then when they were like, all I want to do is zoom, I was like, oh shit. They're going to be done in 4 fucking days. How do you go from a 4-week jury trial estimate to 4 days of direct? Their case in chief was 4 days long. How the fuck do you do that? Wild. That's a big change. That's a big change. And then we're like, all right, let's go. We're in. Law nerds, we're in. We tipped a toe in, and then we were like, shit, we're all the way in. And now here we are.
Than if we took all 4.
How important was Juliana's testimony? You have the defense saying she has always maintained backing up Brendan Banfield until the very last minute here, and almost saying that you guys were too tunnel focused. Without Juliana's proffer, I mean, do you think we could have gotten to this result?
I think we can. As a matter of fact, we were planning for it. If you take a look at the timeline of the case, we did not authorize charges against Brendan Banfield until after we got the blood analysis done. That is what we were waiting for. And it wasn't until 2 months after we got the blood and we indicted Brendan for these crimes that Juliana decided to proffer and cooperate with us. So we had planned to go forward.
That timing was important to me too.
With just the blood evidence and everything else, and we felt that even with that, we could have put this case on. Now, of course, as a prosecutor, if you have somebody in the room and they want...
Connecting the dots on this case is harder without Juliana. It's harder without Juliana. It is. However, jurors don't always like snitches. And at the end of the day, Juliana took a deal to snitch. Jurors don't always like that. They don't always trust it. So that's a hard decision to make. But the timing, I think they did an excellent job pointing out the timing that he was charged before they heard any of that from Juliana. And once you see Juliana testify, and once you see the timing of that, you can really see that Juliana and when he testified, you can really see once he testified that I think once he got arrested, Juliana was like, shit, it's me or him. It's me or him. And I think that's why she flipped. They didn't highlight it a lot, but I think she knew that she was going to be the other person whose fingers were all over this. So, yeah, I think she knew.
To proffer, they want to turn state's evidence. You're not going to turn that down. You're going to investigate that. We did that proffer. She told us some things that we had not known. We did check on her story. We felt confident in that story, confident enough to offer her the plea deal that we gave her and put her on the stand as part of our case in chief.
Can I ask Jenna a quick?
I love that the media is now like, excuse me, can I ask the lead prosecutor behind you a quick question? I hope it's not why were you chewing gum in court in front of our beloved Judge A, because, ma'am, that was a day. I'm going to put up a poll for you real quick as we continue to go through this this interview with the, I think, elected prosecutor, because I have a question for you. And I'm curious. I do not poll as to guilt or innocence. I believe it's for the jury. We didn't have a chance to poll about closing arguments. I got a pretty good sense of how y'all felt about that. But I am going to poll about this because I am curious what you think. So let me just type this in real quick. Let's see. All right, chat. I am putting a poll up because I am truly curious what you think about this. I am asking, who do you think is more culpable for the murders? Who bears the greater responsibility here? Him, her, or both of them equally? I'm really curious what your thought is about culpability here. If you're looking at, both are equally culpable at 50% versus, you know what, she's the driving force behind it, he's the driving force behind it. Who's more culpable in your mind? I'm very curious. I know it's not an easy question. I'm going to leave the poll up for a little bit. Let's get back to what the DA has to say.
Quick question. Just briefly.
Yeah, let me get the jury and then I'll...
Did you get an opportunity to talk to Mr. Ryan and Christine's family? What did you say to them?
I had before. I did not get a chance to today, and I'm always very hesitant to speak.
Why would you talk to them? That's for your line DAs and for the victim services.
For the victims' families. I know that it was a very, very emotional day. I imagine that maybe we'll be speaking again in the future, but I hope that this verdict gives them some sense of peace and puts them
100%.
Somewhere on the path towards healing after this tragic homicide.
100%.
Jenna, can I ask you a quick?
100%.
Sorry?
What's your message to Banfield's daughter?
The media just asked, what's your message to Banfield's daughter? This is why I could never be a reporter. How does that question even come out of your mouth? Ugh. Also, it looked like somebody was looking at the lead prosecutor and she shook her head. I wonder if she's like, I'm not answering questions. I hate this question.
Jenna, can I ask you a quick? Sorry.
Sorry?
What's your message to Banfield's daughter?
God, I mean, what do you say to a child in that situation? I don't know if I have a message for her, but I have a hope for her. I have a hope that she spends the rest of her life.
I think that's a great reframe. I think that's a good reframe. That is a good reframe. What do you say? I'm sorry that we put your father in prison for the rest of his life. I'm sorry that your father killed your mother. I'm sorry that all this played out in a court that one day you'll be able to see. We fought our hardest to make sure that sealed exhibits would never come to light. I'm sorry that this happened. I'm sorry that your dad made the choices that he did. None of this is your fault. None of this is your fault. And I'm so sorry. I don't know what you say.
With people who love her and know that there were people in this world who loved her. And I hope that she always carries that in her heart. Now, Bob, you had a question for Jenna?
Yeah, Jenna.
Yeah, sure.
Take us through the strategy. It was talked about during the trial of arresting her first.
I'm actually really curious about the answer to this. I wish they would have asked it differently. Why did you arrest her first? What led you to arrest her first? And then what?
To get to him.
Sure. Well, there was originally a belief that was born pretty early in the investigation that she was an accomplice of Mr. Banfield's, that there was a plan. As our detectives uncovered more evidence that supported the possibility of the plan, the idea was formed to arrest her based on the evidence that we knew we had, because it would be a successful prosecution, but also with the hope that she would end up seeing the light and coming to us with her story. It was something that we obviously had to wait quite a while for, and to be honest, had given up on at the time that we charged Mr. Banfield. We weren't going to wait anymore. We were providing her with the discovery that she needed to be able to defend herself in her case, and so there was no expectation that she would turn.
I have a question. Thanks for calling on me, counsel. Is it because you kept reading all their letters, and in their letters, both of them were saying to each other, baby, I love you. I want to have babies with you. We're going to name the babies Chloe and Robert. We're going to live in Brazil, and I love you so much. We're going to have a life together. And she's like, I'm your ride or die. I would do anything for you. And you looked at all those letters and went, all right, well, that's what she wants to do. Okay, that's what she wants to do. They were looking at those letters going, that's what she wants to do. All right. You do you, girl. Go ahead. Sure.
It was just really happenstance that we were reached out to by her counsel that she was finally ready to talk.
You mentioned
I love the detail that the attorneys were actually surprised that she changed her mind. Yeah, after seeing all of those letters, I'm not surprised that they were like, all right. Can you imagine the prosecutors in the Adelson case when Catherine McBanawa was offered full immunity? Catherine McBanawa was offered full immunity and went, no, I'm not going down like that. And now is in prison for the rest of her life. It happens. You guys, it happens. It's wild when it happens, but it happens. So after reading those letters, they're like, oh, sure, girl. And then when he got arrested, I'm pretty sure she immediately was like, shit, it's him or me. Yeah.
You're questioning him face to face.
Sorry, say
What
again.
was that like? You had a chance to question him finally on the stand face to face. How do you describe him?
Was that your best day at work ever? Was it your best day at work ever cross-examining that defendant? And can somebody please ask about the surprise witnesses? Talk to us about T. Patrick.
I think that everyone has commented on what was so obvious, that he was
a lying liar that lies,
that he was cold, that he behaved oddly,
that he insulted her hair. Nothing in his testimony gave I love my wife. He said I had strong feelings. Nothing gave I love my wife. Nothing. He couldn't even say that he loved his wife on the stand. And he was an obvious liar.
In response to questions that should have elicited emotion, that he never spoke of himself as Christine's husband, that he didn't speak lovingly of his wife, that he showed absolutely no human emotion that we expected to see of someone in his position.
You mentioned your closing.
You took this stand, and how do you prepare for?
Sorry.
You mentioned your closing how he wanted to be with Juliana, and hence the possible motive here. Outside of that, is there anything else as far as why he would commit this?
You know, it's really challenging.
Counsel, she doesn't have a DSM-5 under her arm. He said on the stand, well, our relationship couldn't grow because Christine was still around.
To try to put yourself in someone like Mr. Banfield's mind. And I don't know that I want to try that hard, to be completely honest. I think that he was.
I love that her response was, it's hard to put yourself in someone's mind. Also, ew, I don't want to be there. Like, nah, I really don't. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that at all.
No human emotion that we expected to see of someone.
I backed it up a little to let her answer that full question.
Sorry.
You mentioned in your closing how he wanted to be with Juliana and hence the possible motive here. Outside of that, is there anything else as far as why he would commit this?
You know, it's really challenging to try to put yourself in someone like Mr. Banfield's mind. And I don't know that I want to try that hard, to be completely honest. I think that he was obviously hoping for a life with Juliana, and he didn't see a way to accomplish that without executing his wife.
Are you surprised that Brendan took the stand? Do you believe that actually helped your case a little bit?
Yes. I, having been a defense attorney for years, I think I would have counseled against him taking the stand.
That's interesting. I didn't know that the prosecutor was a defense attorney for years, probably before she became a prosecutor. That's interesting. And the defense attorney is a former prosecutor because, of course. But no, I don't. I think he and his attorney were on the same page that everybody's going to be just following along with his eyebrows. And I think Banfield is probably used to getting his way. Funny that juries don't really roll the same way. Weird, isn't it?
But, Mr. Carroll didn't have a lot to work with. And at the end of the day, if his client wanted to testify, he had the absolute right to do so.
What was the thinking behind giving Juliana such a sweetheart deal?
So I wouldn't necessarily describe it as a sweetheart deal.
Would you describe it as dog shit? Because that's how the cops described it. The deal for Juliana to reduce it, you could have reduced it from an aggravated murder to a first degree. The reduction is a lot because if she's an accomplice, she could be on the hook for aggravated murder. She shot Joseph Ryan, but she also set up Christine. She could go down on accomplice liability for both of those murders too. She absolutely could.
Does face 10 years in prison. That has not yet been determined. It is obviously a reduction, and it is certainly reflective of her cooperation. But in order to encourage her to tell the truth, there had to be something. I think that the agreement that she entered into will hopefully allow for the judge to.
I appreciate this prosecutor didn't just say, I wasn't the DA on the case when that deal was made. I wasn't the DA on that case. I wasn't the DA on this case when that deal was made. And that's the deal that was made. And we stand by the offers that were made. We do not change our mind. We are bound by our word. This is what was offered. This is what she took. There is no changing that. Period. It's kinder this way, but that's also true.
Pass judgment on her in a way that is measurable. It will certainly never account for the lives that she was responsible for taking, but I think that the amount of time that she'll serve will be determined by Judge Ascarati, and I'm sure it will be appropriate.
So she hasn't agreed.
I'm going to do another poll real quick. We're going to do another poll. Let's end this one with over 7,000 votes. 70% of you think that Brendan Banfield is more responsible. 1% of you think that Juliana is more culpable. 29% of you think both are as culpable. I'm going to put up another poll for y'all because I got a question before we let the prosecutor answer the next question. Let's see. I want to know if you think that Banfield would have found a way to commit this murder with or without Juliana? Would he have done this without Juliana? Like, does he still go forward with this in another way? I'm curious.
To your recommendation.
Correct. The judge is free to sentence her as she chooses within the statutory limitations.
It's 10 years, even the max is still a gift, right, for someone who's plotted and set up Christine and Joe Ryan. And there's a lot of violence in this murder.
That is absolutely true.
Thank you, Jeff.
Because that's the question. If he would have done this anyway, it changes the culpability a bit. The prosecutors are also going to look at the relationship and the imbalance in that relationship. They're going to look at those things when making a deal. But if the answer is he would have done this one way or the other, that's a question. And yes, I'm also waiting for the media to ask what was on that 911 call. I'm also waiting.
I also wanted to add to this. You guys have access to Jen if you have more questions for her. But no, I think it's really, really important that, we don't characterize this as a quote unquote sweetheart deal. This is the work of being a prosecutor.
Okay.
She still is taking accountability for homicides. When you take a look at what the
singular counsel, not plural,
relative culpability is, I think that where we have landed is appropriate. And quite frankly, Juliana, by testifying, answered a lot of questions, not only for us, but for the jury. Let's not forget how important her testimony may have been to some of those jurors. So her still facing up to 10 years in prison is very, very significant and well worth the cost to make sure that Brendan Banfield was convicted for a crime where it is a mandatory life sentence. As the law is written right now, Brendan Banfield will not walk free for the rest of his natural life.
And he shouldn't. I think in other jurisdictions, this would have been a really easy charge as a death penalty case, given the circumstances here. That was abolished in Virginia. But I think in other jurisdictions, this absolutely, the facts of this case would have been charged that way. So, yeah. I mean, again, this is the prosecutors saying he is the one who is the most culpable here, and putting him in prison for the rest of his life is the most important part. I understand where they're at. It's a big reduction. It's a big reduction.
Is there anything else that a lot of times evidence does not get into a trial? What else should people know about this guy?
Oh, you're right.
That you were not able.
No. Media, stop asking what evidence doesn't get into a trial that we should know. No. What's on the 911 call is what you want to ask. What did the voice say? What did the voice say? That's what you want to ask.
To present to the jury that had convinced you guys he was guilty.
Well, I hate to disappoint you, but for us, the evidence spoke volumes.
Who was speaking on the 911?
What we thought was important, and I think that, in many ways, we're proud that we let the evidence speak for itself. So there's not really a lot of things that were outside the purview of the jury that led us to some kind of conclusion about what he did or what he did not do. We take a lot of pride, and we know the police take a lot of pride in following the evidence wherever it leads.
What do you hope Brendan Banfield is sitting in there thinking about right now?
Oh, gosh. What do you hope he's sitting in there thinking about right now? Chat, hold that question, put an asterisk on it. I'll tell you what I think he's sitting there thinking. I'll tell you in a few. He took a lot of notes.
I've been a prosecutor for, almost 15 years now. And I think about what goes through somebody.
You're the bossy boss with 15 years? Huh. Okay.
His mind after they've been found.
That just seems shorter in my experience. That's all. If 15 years is a full career as a prosecutor, it's just to be the bossy boss. It's just interesting.
Guilty. And, my quite frankly, my hope with this is that he realizes he didn't get away with it. And I know that sounds cliche, but I think through the evidence, you can see a lot of things that he set up trying to get away with it, thinking that he was going to beat the system, trying to outsmart everybody.
Fair.
I hope he thinks that. And most of all, though, I hope he thinks about his wife and Joe and about what a heinous thing he did.
Fair.
Because that's something that he is rightfully going to have to live with for the rest of his life.
That's a very politician answer.
Yes,
We
please.
appreciate your neutrality, sir. I have some other thoughts, but we appreciate the answer.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I'm sorry, were the relatives there also related to Joe?
Or any Ryan
They're asking what relatives were in the courtroom.
Relatives. Yes, I'm sorry, I didn't.
Yeah, they weren't here today, but they have
They're in
been
the
they have
past.
been in the courtroom.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify. Yes.
So Joseph Ryan's relatives had been in the courtroom.
Rare to have cameras in the courtroom
Yes.
here in Virginia, particularly in a criminal case. A whole big part of the world watching this.
Yeah.
What do you hope the takeaway is for people who've been watching this incredibly salacious story here in our neighborhood? What do you hope the takeaway is for all these people that?
We hope they take away the excellent work that the prosecutor's office and the police in Fairfax County did to bring justice to the victims of this case. Right.
Have been watching this play out.
Yeah, that's a great question, Drew. I think there are a couple takeaways that I hope they come away
I guess he
with.
knows
First of all,
Drew.
Trials and this world, it's not Law and Order. It doesn't happen in half an hour. It's not black and white. There's a lot of work that goes into it. There's a lot of nuance. So I want them to understand what this work is. But I think the one thing I want people in this community to take away from is they got to see their justice system in action, right? They don't have to read about it, they get to see it. And I hope what they saw is a modern professional prosecutor's office doing a job with a very, very difficult case. I mean, the forensics, the blood, all of these things are very, very difficult to parse, to talk about, to explain to a jury. And the team behind me, quite frankly, they made it look easy. And I think that really speaks to the level of professionalism, not only in the prosecutor's office, but with the courts generally, as well as the investigation of the county police department, which is top notch.
Steve, how about cameras in the courtroom all the time?
Right.
Bob, I'd love it. I honestly,
Bob, we would love it. Bob, we would love to have cameras in the courtroom all the time. Thanks for asking, Bob.
I would not be opposed. We are proud of the work that we do here as the law enforcement apparatus in Fairfax County. We have nothing to hide. I would love everybody to see every one of our trials and see what goes into the decision making. We do almost 20,000 cases a year. And for people to really understand the nuance and how we agonize over a lot of these decisions to try to.
You said 20,000? How many prosecutors do you have? I got questions.
Do justice. I think that would be great for this community to see.
Thanks.
Any other questions? No?
Yes. What did the voice say on the 911 call?
The plan was very out of the normal realm or very extraordinary. Did you ever get any sense as to how this
With all the cars in the background, I don't know how anyone's going to hear what this reporter is asking.
came about? Have any?
Your guess is as good as mine, chat.
Seriously, that's what most of
Well,
people are asking, right?
Why is everyone laughing? I can't even hear what this question is, and everybody's chuckling. What are we laughing about?
The plan was very out of the normal realm or very extraordinary. Did you ever get any sense as to how this plan came about? Have any? Seriously, that's what most of people are asking, right?
I gotta say, it might be glib, but you if you watch the trial, you might have been able to see it. But no. But in all seriousness, no. We just have the evidence.
I can't help. I have no
and
idea
quite
what they
frankly,
said.
Our
No
job
idea.
is to follow the evidence. And we heard what Juliana said. We heard what Brendan said. Those are our clues into what happened. But at the end of the day, we presented the evidence to the jury, and we're just very, very pleased that we're able to stand here knowing that we got justice for Joe and Christine.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it, guys. Yeah.
Guys, thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks for sticking it out
You bet.
all day today.
Absolutely.
No!
Survey says.
Nobody asked what the voice on the 911 call said. I'm gonna reach out to the prosecutor. I'm very curious. I'm just going to ask. I want to know. We'll see. We'll see. We'll just ask. We'll just reach out and ask. I will do that later today. That's exactly what I'm going to do, chat. I'm just going to be like, hey, hopefully you didn't watch my stream talking about you chewing gum in court, but we have some questions about that 911 call. We really have some questions. I'd also be curious what the culture in your prosecutor's office is after a guilty verdict. After a guilty verdict, do you bring donuts? You bring in bagels? You bring in breakfast for the whole office? What are we doing? For those of you that asked about the LA County District Attorney's Office, you've got to remember that the LA County DA's office covers more than 10 million residents of the county, more than that, and handles over 70,000 felonies a year, over like 120,000 misdemeanors a year, and that might be a year or two old. Those numbers went down under the past district attorney, especially in the misdemeanors. They're going to go back up. Also, there were a lot of felonies that were turned into misdemeanors that are going to be back to felonies, so those numbers are going to go up. I would imagine you would see anywhere upwards of 80, 90 to 120,000 felonies a year, and probably pushing 150 plus thousand misdemeanors a year. So, I think we'll see that shift again. But again, it's a lot more people. It really is a lot of people, really a lot of people. So what happens next? We know that the co-defendant needs to be sentenced. We know that there will be a sentencing hearing for Brendan Banfield on May 8th. Chat, this is an excellent point. She should bring them cookies and McDonald's. It should be midnight treats and McDonald's. That's exactly right. For the McAlibi. That's exactly correct. That's exactly what should happen. We're going to see his sentencing on May 8th. Again, court dates can change. We'll put that on the docket now. We should be done with the Corey Richins case well ahead of that. We will have on the docket, of course, the Corey Richins case coming up. We will docket Juliana's sentencing if it doesn't get changed. I am adding to the docket, chat, if you agree, I am adding to the docket, going over some of the evidence that we did not see in court, just because now we're invested. We're just now invested. And then, of course, because we've covered this at trial, we will docket it for appeal. Who knew when the Murdaugh case ended that we were going to be covering Murdaugh's appeal to the South Carolina Supreme Court coming up later this month. So yes, now that we're in, and we will be covering all of those things coming up. We're going to answer some questions now. I don't see any other interviews. I'm just going to check one other feed and see if we see any other, anybody else that came out. I can't imagine that Attorney Carroll is going to come out and have anything to say. I mean, I don't see that happening. We have timestamped for the stream, the verdict, if you want to go take a look at it. For those of you asking timing on the Corey Richins case, let me just pull up the date, because the date that's stuck in my head right now is the date that we begin jury selection. Jury selection is not going to be streamed. Remember, the judge did grant streaming for the trial. It took so long. But the judge did grant streaming. So I'm going to go double check, because it has escaped my brain quickly, but it's on my case docket. So wait, you guys, that's right. Opening statements do begin February 23rd. Of course they do. Of course they do. Well, happy birthday to Brandon Banfield. I guess I'm glad that they didn't set the sentencing in this case for his birthday, because then we would have to choose between opening statements and sentencing. And how do you even make that choice? I don't know. Does it bode well for Corey Richins that she's going to begin trial on Brandon Banfield's birthday? Or is she just going to be mad that that case has received so much attention? But you guys, it's his birthday. Oh man, this defendant has been a challenge. This defendant has been a challenge. So at the end of the day, this jury did not deliberate that long. They deliberated a day and a half to come to guilty verdicts on everything they were charged with. So Brendan Banfield was convicted of aggravated murder of his wife, Christine Banfield, and the third party, Joseph Ryan, that was lured to the house by Juliana and Brendan Banfield so that he could be set up, so that Brendan might hope to get away with it. And look, of all of the things we have seen people do, trying to get somebody set up to a self-defense type of encounter is A, something that I think he probably saw on TV, but B, something that I think this defendant really did think would work. He seemed to try to insulate himself at every turn, but the tech doesn't lie. And in this case, the prosecution had some strong blood evidence. I think they could have presented it differently, but I think by the time they got to closing argument and brought it together, it made it a little easier for the jury. But the thing that's going to make this case easy for the jury to know that they got it right is watching Brendan Banfield's testimony. Watching Brendan Banfield's testimony hopefully will put this jury's mind at ease that they absolutely got it right. Because there were times in his testimony when he was trying to think about how that would go if it was going the way he was saying it was going. And there were times where he absolutely slipped in saying things like, I can't see how that is happening, or I think I'm thinking about. Well, why do you think you're thinking about? What did you see? You don't have to think about what you would be thinking about unless you're trying to put yourself in a situation that didn't exist. And then there was that whole pesky little bit about, I couldn't have been planning this. I had a really big work meeting that his supervisor came in and said was absolutely not the case. I think the defense tried to work with what they had. I think they tried to throw everything up at the wall to muddy the water. I think the prosecution got real close to maybe oversimplifying it. The amount of information that came in during the defense case that was like, wow, that's new information, was substantial. Absolutely. It's my meeting, not yours. Apologies, chat. Emily, do you still have meetings? Yes, I had meetings all day today. It's mine, not yours. I promise it's mine, not yours. So at the end of the day, the defendant testifying in his own defense, I think, is going to make this easier for the jury. But remember how many things the jury had to look through, because the prosecution put stuff up and didn't go into every single sentence on a letter or every single line on any of the digital evidence and was like, you have it in evidence. Someone on that jury is going to want to read some of those letters, because the defendant, how he presented and how the prosecution presented him at times were at odds for me. Again, I don't have all the information that they have. They know more about the case than I do. My read on this defendant was that this was his plan to murder his wife and that Juliana fit well into that plan. But I don't think that the plan started after he and Juliana met. I don't think, based on his testimony, based on the timing of all of this, I think Juliana was incredibly useful to defendant Banfield. I'm sure he also thought that, baby, I love you. But I also think a lot of that was to keep her on side. I think his parents paying, or his mom paying for her lawyer, them putting money on her books, them communicating with her family, was all to keep her on side so that she didn't throw them under the bus. I think that this plan was going to be carried out with or without her. I don't think it was because he was just head over heels in love with her. I think that Juliana was useful to Brendan Banfield. I think that Joe Ryan was useful to Brendan Banfield. And for the jury, that doesn't give them an answer of why did he decide to kill his wife. It gives them an answer of, once he decided to kill his wife, this is what he did. That might not have worked as well if he had not testified. I think once he testified, you see a bit of a different story, but it's really hard to change what you told them in opening and change it in closing. Because what they went with in opening is he was so in love that he decided that he needed to get rid of his wife because divorce is expensive. And if he's not going to testify, that gives answers to the jury of this is why he did it. And they could see those letters. And in a lot of the letters, he is saying that. I don't think you understand as a juror how manipulative this defendant might be if you only see him sitting at counsel table. And it makes it really difficult to change how you're sharing this case with the jury if you don't know the defendant's going to testify, and if you know that the smartest thing for him is to not testify. And you can use the letters to show that look at everything that he's saying. Look at everything that he's saying in these letters. But at the end of the day, he will be sentenced hopefully on May 8th. Juliana will be sentenced. It's set for this month, but we will see if that court date gets changed, if her defense attorney wants any reports. And again, the prosecutor said in the press conference today that Juliana can get sentenced up to 10 years. It's interesting that the prosecutor never said, we are asking for time served. None of the prosecutors said we are asking for time served. All of them focused on the fact that she can be sentenced up to 10 years. Make of it what you will, but it's an interesting note that that's what they talked about in their press conference. And we will see what happening. No. We will see what happens at sentencing. With Juliana's sentencing, I don't know if we will see in-person victim impact statements or if we will see letters submitted to the court. We can see victim impact statements there, and we can see victim impact statements at Brendan's sentencing. And I imagine that we will see in-person victim impact statements from at least Christine Banfield's father, because you could tell what he was thinking when he took the witness stand. And when Christine Banfield's father took the stand and turned and looked at the defendant while he was testifying, I was like, ooh. He has some thoughts. And I imagine we will see him sharing those thoughts with the court when we get to Brendan Banfield's sentencing. With that, we've got some questions to answer. Do not worry, chat. We've got Miguelina, like 15 minutes. If we don't mind, like 15 minutes, because we've got some questions I want to answer. Mandy asks, is Judge A really retiring? Judge A said when they were picking a sentencing date, anytime before July 1st, that is the day I retire. Smiles. Smiles. So yes, Judge A is retiring. The words came from her. So yes, Judge A is retiring. But I don't think I would be very curious to chat with Judge A. But again, the business of running a courthouse is quite a lot, and I wish Judge A all the best in her retirement. It is going to be fantastic. Some of you are asking about Christine Banfield's father testifying. Yes, he testified about her blood clotting disorder, and he testified about what precautions she had to take as a child. And a lot of you in the chat, including Lyndon, said, so it really is all about the blood. But this time we were talking about Christine's blood disorder and the fact that it makes the things that Brendan Banfield was setting up even less likely. The prosecutor didn't tie that back, but when that witness took the stand and was like, she has a blood clotting disorder and had to be very careful as a child about any contact sports, any falls. She had to take quite a lot of precautions. It was one of those like, oh shit, this story makes even less sense. There were more moments where I'm like, oh damn, really? It was a lot of information. Law nerds, you guys need to say hi to Jeffrey in the chat. Jeffrey, good to see you. Jeffrey and I got to chat a little bit earlier today because he is working with Team Baker on the YouTube side. I know you guys gave all the love to Reed when he was in the chat. Say hello to Jeffrey. Jeffrey, it's good to see you in the chat. Good. You got a whole verdict day with us. You got a whole verdict day with Team Baker. So you got to do a verdict day with the law nerds. You got to come and hang out. It's been a busy day. You got a whole like truncated trial, like go. It's been a busy one. Law Nerds, we're going to answer some questions. Thank you for your super chats. Thank you to everyone who gifted memberships. Look, if you don't have the Law Nerd app, now is the time to get the Law Nerd app at lawnerdapp.com. I'm going to try to do a members only tomorrow. Excuse me. We have been riding like day after day after day for trial. So I'm going to move our normal stream tomorrow. I think we're going to just do a members only tomorrow. Do a lot of Q&A, talk about this case, look at some of the stuff. We will do a members only instead of a normal stream. So we're not going to have a normal stream at 11 a.m. We have done some very long days of trial. And I had promised Team Baker that we weren't going to do a trial before Richens. And everyone was really patient with my ADHD time blindness when I'm like, no, we're going to Zoom. And like 9 hours later, I was like, shit, we did not Zoom. I'm not capable of Zooming. So we are going to do a members only tomorrow afternoon. So we will be doing that. And then we will be streaming Wednesday, Thursday at normal time this week because we got a verdict today. I didn't think it was going to happen. I really didn't. I didn't think it was going to happen. And then end of the day, they were like, we're done. I love it. All right. So Law Nerd app, I will keep you in the loop when we are going to have that members only. I have a quick obligation in the morning as well. So we are going to take care of that. Law Nerds, thank you all for saying hi to Jeffrey. For all of you asking when the next case is starting, February 23rd. We're never going to forget now. How could we forget? February 23rd is opening statements in the Corey Richens case. We have a bunch of shit to catch up on before then. There are hearings coming up in the Karen Reed civil case. Murdaugh's massive appeal to the Supreme Court, which actually could change things. Who said that's so far away? Crazy cat lady, that's like 4 days away. It's February now. It's this same month. We're in the same month. We've got stuff going on in the Boone case. We've got stuff going on in the Adelson case. We've got that Supreme Court hearing for Murdaugh could change the law in South Carolina. We got a lot of shit going on. We really do. We have a lot of shit going on. So no, I'm not even going to get laundry done adequately between now and then. Truly, it's been so much streaming. So we have lots to catch up on. Flightless said, here since Tati, still writing thanks for everything. I know the whole chat is just going to be like, and you did it on my birthday. This case, man. How did this case end up crossing over with almost everything we've ever done on this channel? Why is there a dog? And no, the dog was not named Chloe, but then they want to name their babies Chloe because baby, I love you. And then the cookies, and then we're like, but it was my birthday. My friends brought me cookies. It's okay. They basically brought you Dunkin' in a blizzard and put it in the front seat of your car. All of it. I don't think there was a butt dial, but we had police officer text messages from their private phone. They didn't name call the defendant. They did name call their coworkers. We listen and we don't judge. Who hasn't name called their coworkers, or at least some of their coworkers? We listen and we don't judge. I mean, I don't now because I get to choose all my coworkers. Like, not a problem on Team Baker because we all just get to pick to work together. But yeah, but in a big workplace where you don't get to choose, yeah, that happens. Not anymore. It's such a blessing, but but oh my. Who hasn't? So yeah, I think the strongest language in those were that the offer was dog shit and that sometimes their coworkers are morons. I think everybody was like, well, I mean, not wrong. Like, not wrong. Gringa said, I bet he chose his birthday for a reason. I mean, chat, this defendant seems like the kind of guy that just, everything's just about him. Everything's about him. You know what really blew me away? What really blew me away that shouldn't have is how much he was bragging about his other fucking affairs. You're on trial for your wife's murder, accused of setting up a third party to take the fall and also be murdered. And you're on the stand talking about having other affairs and you're just like, yeah. So you were on a sugar baby site. I mean, I wouldn't call it like a fetish site. I mean, my wife was at work for a week. Ugh, it was bile inducing. However, the flip side of that is, sir, you're making it real easy for the jury to convict you. You're making it real easy for the jury to convict you. The most emotion I saw from the defendant during this trial was when he talked about how much he loved the McDonald's app and the rewards. I feel strongly about a rewards program. I really do. But I feel like he loves that McDonald's app and a free hash browns, and talked about it with more detail and fondness than he talked about his wife, Christine, throughout the entire trial. His friends bringing him cookies, he was very pleased to tell you that he had friends that brought him cookies. But he was giddy and gloating about his numerous affairs. And then he only really got mad when the prosecutor asked him about having an affair with his best friend's wife. And his response wasn't, no, I didn't. His response was, that's not my best friend. And they weren't even married then. Bro, what? The most emotion was, that's not my bestie. What, he didn't bring you fucking cookies? Okay. Wild. That was the most emotion we saw from him. So I just, I mean, I'm with you, chat. They're good. Life without parole, good. Bye. Just bye. I hope the beds in prison are long enough for you. No, I don't. I hope the beds in prison squish your feet. Excuse me, can we get him a short bed? Because he's so tall. Just let his legs hang over the edge. I wish you all the comfort you have shown to others, Mr. Banfield. Romy, thank you for the 10 gifted memberships. I appreciate it. You guys, I've never seen, we all know people, I'm sure, like Brendan Banfield. But the multiple times he talked about how tall he was, just like wove it into his testimony. Wild. Absolutely fucking wild. Absolutely wild. Gringa said, I can't remember when he said he was tall. Oh, it was numerous times. He said that when he was coming down the driveway, that he could see from that vantage point because he's so tall. He said that the bed in the bedroom was, normally people would consider it a bit high, but it's not too high for him. He talked about being tall in a few other places in his testimony, because by the time we got to, from here I could see it because I'm so tall, I was already out. So it came up like 3 times before the driveway where he mentioned, oh, Juliana. Right. Juliana was looking for guys on Hinge or whatever who were also tall, just like him, because she was describing tall guys like him. Okay. Also, I don't necessarily believe your whole story about Hinge or whatever. I really just don't. I really just don't necessarily believe all of the shit about Hinge. But it came up multiple times. Then again, his fucking attorney asked him to describe his belt like a clock and talk about where his shiny, shiny badge was. Okay. I've never been over somebody's testimony. That's not true. Murdaugh's snot kind of put me over the edge. This is a different over the edge. Murdaugh's snot was so much. This, though, this was something else. Martha said, how's long to read the 14-page? We will go through some of the evidence together. I promise. Eliop said, and I remember when you hated the fan. I know. It's so unfair that, we have the fan. I'm like, oh my God, this fan. And then we lose the fan. I'm like, wait, come back. Now I can't do a trial without a fan. I didn't realize how useful it was. And it is. The fan was so helpful. And then we lose the fan. I'm like, a static screen's tough. But then at the end of the day, they just kept zooming in and out on the seal. And every time it moved, I was like, what's going on? Throughout meetings all day, I was like, what are you doing? What are we doing? But we had a little bit of a verdict watch chat going on. So I kept popping into our Lawnard Lounge chat being like, it's just the cameraman getting the perfect focus on the seal or whatever. It was wild. Just a wild, wild day. So let's see. Christina said someone was reporting they were rewatching Juliana's testimony. Is that allowed, or do they have to read the transcript? The jury has access to what they have access to, but they don't have a device where they can do research. They could watch any videos that were in evidence, though. But nobody's going to know what's going on in the jury room because no one's going to know what's going on in the jury room. They can reread testimony if they want to. They can have access to that. We wouldn't have heard about it if they did, though. But they can have access to rereading testimony. Yeah, they can. So we'll see. Rachie said, got notification as I was walking out of mammogram. Good for you. Hope it all goes well. Did mine just a few weeks ago before this trial started. So, don't forget, it's a new year. Time to get all those things on the books for sure. Auntie said, dude forgot even the IRS can't escape the IRS. It's fair. It's fair. It's going to get you. It's going to get you. But, this defendant, man. I imagine some in the chat were confused about the name Chloe. That's fair. Not everybody watched the Reed trial. I don't consider it a particularly deep cut because we did the Reed trial twice. But yes, Chloe was the name of the dog in the Reed trial. It came up quite a lot, just quite a lot. And the fact that they were looking at Chloe as a baby name is just I don't even know how those two things converge. I don't. I kept meaning to do it and then I had to go out of town, but the booking information for the defendant, when he gets booked into prison, I'll grab it. It should have his height on it. It should have his height on his booking. So when he gets booked into prison, I'll take a look. Can we try to hear what's on the call? Not today, but I'm very curious if somebody who is more technically savvy than I am has already tried that. I very much would like to know. I don't know. I would very much like to know. Nina said, I'm in Vegas, going to try to attend KVD in February. I'm keeping an eye on what's going on in KVD. It is, I hope they end up streaming it when it goes to trial, but I'm definitely keeping an eye on KVD. I know they've got hearings and stuff coming in. They kept bumping that trial date out and out and out, which was tough. Absolutely. I saw a great question about T. Patrick. Do you think they got along at work? I have no idea. But I can imagine you can get along with your coworker and things can change real quick when something like this goes down. So they might have, but I can't imagine seeing what he's accused of, seeing the evidence that comes up, and then taking a look at his testimony and being like you sitting in the office, popping on a stream, watching some of this testimony and going, oh, that's not true. That's not true. Lilith said I was going to ask if T. Patrick was the best friend that wasn't a best friend. If T. Patrick was the best friend that wasn't a best friend, whose wife wasn't his wife, it would have come up in cross-examination because it would have gone to potential bias. It's like, oh, you're just mad at him because he, isn't your best friend and was with your wife that wasn't your wife that is your wife. That absolutely would have come up. Absolutely would have come up. So a lot of you are saying that Recovery Addict tried and couldn't make anything out. I will see what we can do, but it's good to know because he's definitely better at the sound stuff than I am. Somebody will try to do this who is much better at that than I am. So we will. Brian Daniel said, Emily, thank you for covering the trial. I'm Brazilian. How can I find the inmate number to send a letter, please? It should be publicly accessible on the Fairfax County website. Fairfax County Custody or Fairfax County Jails should have a website with an inmate locator where you can locate the inmate information to send a letter. But that might change depending on if she is sentenced to more time or if she is released. So that could change when she is sentenced, but you'll see. So, I mean, I imagine we will hear more from Juliana. I imagine, seeing that she's been talking to multiple producers, I imagine we will hear more of her story. And I imagine producers will probably take the, I don't know if he killed his wife to be with you or if he decided to be with you so you could help him kill his wife. I'm curious if that's the angle that producers take, which is definitely indicating that, he was not lovesick and had to be with someone, and divorce just wasn't an option for him. I'm curious. I'm very curious. Let's see. BB Reed Daniela, I think 7671. Do you think he would have won with a better attorney? No. And I don't think any attorney could have talked him out of testifying. I think that Banfield probably wanted to be incredibly engaged in his defense, incredibly engaged. I don't know if his attorney's organization could have helped. I don't know if his attorney's organization would have helped enough once he testified. And I think there's no way we get to the end of that case and he doesn't testify. I think he was going to try to explain it to everybody. He wanted to explain it to everybody. Mama and True Crime Junkie said, EDB, why do they poll a jury? To make sure that the verdict is unanimous. The only time we have seen this be a huge issue is when they don't poll a jury, because it would have highlighted some of the issues in the Reed case had they just polled the jury. And so if you have a juror get polled, is this your unanimous verdict? You could have a juror say, no, what verdict? What? You need to make sure that everyone's on the same page. And so asking each juror, is this your verdict? And having them voice it in court is just a final clarification. And it takes 30 seconds to poll the jury. Is this your verdict? Yes, 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 yes. Great. There's no confusion. Polling the jury, I have never done a case where we didn't poll the jury at the end. The court always asks. I've never had a defense attorney say, no, we're cool. They always say poll the jury. But it sure would have helped. It sure would have helped. So Dee Dee said, question, I thought judges were either civil or criminal. How was Judge A on both? This varies quite a bit by jurisdiction. Some jurisdiction, judges will sit on a circuit where they rotate. Some jurisdictions, judges will handle both and do split calendars. Some jurisdictions, they will rotate, and some jurisdictions, your assignment is your assignment. So it varies jurisdiction to jurisdiction quite a bit. It is unusual to me because that's not how it was in the jurisdiction where I practiced. But if that's how it is in the jurisdiction where you are, you just know that's the way it's going to be. Like in Massachusetts, why am I blanking? How am I blanking? The judges in Massachusetts rotate. So they'll do a criminal calendar for a period of time, and then they'll do a civil calendar, and then they will rotate. And Judge A is also the site judge. She might take the high profile cases and the long cause trials. So her courtroom is open that she does the long cause trials. So it really just depends. Do they get transferred? Not necessarily transferred. rotated. And some courthouses, like, thank you, Judge Cannoni. How did that even escape my brain? It's been a long, it's long. Gray Space said they rotate courthouses in Massachusetts too. It's wild, which is more like a circuit. Judges in Texas do circuit where they switch the courthouses. But there are a lot of judges. I mean, all lawyers can do both, but there are also judges who will do long cause trials. And if your courthouse is both a civil and a criminal courthouse, in some jurisdictions they are, in some jurisdictions they're not. So if you have a courthouse that has civil and criminal and you're the long cause calendar, meaning you take the long trials and you don't have any other calendar that day and you just do trial from the first thing you do in the morning to the last thing you do in the evening, then you'll take all the long cause cases, whether they're civil, whether they're criminal. This would have been sent to a long cause courtroom because the estimate was over 4 weeks. So it really, really just depends on the jurisdiction. HLU 777 said we've all blocked out Judge Cannoni. I mean, we were back in Judge A's courtroom and we were like, look, it's just so normal. It's just so normal. And that was helpful. Allie said, what's the pre-sentence report? The pre-sentence report is something that is done by probation or parole, depending on the jurisdiction, that goes through all the information about a defendant and gives a recommendation on sentencing, which is not a lot of discretion in this case, but there is discretion on the other counts. I mean, the judge is just going to be like, all. Laura said, EDB, what do you think Banfield is thinking tonight? I think he's probably blaming everyone but himself. I think he is blaming everyone but himself. Yeah. And how they all got it wrong. And how they should have done this and they should have done that. I think it is full. I don't think there's self-reflection. I think it is full, what should my lawyer have done? What could somebody else have done? Fuck the guy who used to be the boss. I think it is everybody else's problem. Yeah, that's what I think he's thinking tonight. I don't think he's thinking I could have done this better. I think he's mad at everybody else and he's going to start planning his appeal. For sure. I think that's what he's doing. And we'll see. He's going to have some more time in local custody before the pre-sentencing report. So he also gets a chance to chat with the person from probation or parole. BTS Army 613 said, question, if Juliana is given time served and Brennan wins on appeal, can she be forced to come back and testify? It will be more difficult to have her come back and testify, but yes, they could try to have her come back and testify. Yes, they could. It will be interesting to see what they choose to file on his appeal. Tara said, are you worried about appeal on this case? No, I'm sure they will appeal, talking about the prosecution's, let's see, the prosecution's mention of the defendant's right to remain silent prior to him taking the stand. I didn't love that either. The judge allowed it. I think they went on too long with it. I think it causes problems you don't need to cause. I think, hey, we've never heard about this meeting before this, right? Leave it be. Leave it be. I think there was a lot of conversation in closing about the defense didn't show you this, the defense didn't show you this. I don't love that either. I think in closing, I even paused and was like, ugh, I don't love how long we've gone on with this, but the defense put on quite a case, and they can say in the defense case you didn't hear this, and in the defense case you didn't hear that. It went on a bit, but the defense didn't object once, so it's not going to be saved for appeal. So I don't love it, but it's not going to be saved for appeal. There will be evidentiary issues. I'm sure that the defense will object to the evidentiary issues that came up probably prior to trial. There will always be some rulings that they will find. Let's see. What else will the defense appeal? I don't know. That the court made them prove foundation. They will get a different appellate attorney who will have some thoughts. All right, law nerds, I have got to go. We have one more meeting for the day, and I've got to get to that. Thank you, everybody. Thank you guys for the love for the moderators, for Team Baker. Thank you to all of Team Baker and our mods for knowing that when Emily said we will do our best to zoom, that I do my best. And sometimes that means very long streaming days. I appreciate it. It was a lot to take on last minute, but yay. Atmospheric Wonder said, I'm glad we got to cover this on trial since Judge A is retiring. She's great. I like Judge A quite a lot. I was stunned at some of the stuff going on in this courtroom. I really was. The lack of organization it hurt my brain. Wedge, good to see you in the chat, said, Judge, have the jury reached a unanimous decision? We have, Judge. Well, we don't really believe you, so let's poll the jury. It's fair, but you never know, but it's fair. Avila said he is 4 cookies tall. Big cookies, you guys. They're the big cookies. Who testifies in a murder trial and makes sure that everyone knows how big the cookies are they got for their birthday? What even is that? We clearly need a code gross. I mean, the prosecution's face said it all. Like, do you get into the mind of the defendant? Because clearly they want somebody to diagnose the defendant and say, this person's this or this person's that, which they're not going to do. And she's like, yeah, I didn't really try too hard to get into his mind. Thanks. She also had to read all his letters. She also had to listen to all the jail calls. Chat, there is a 0% chance that she had to listen to these two having phone sexy time in more than one jail call. So, yeah, by the time they're like, can you get into the mind of the defendant? The prosecutor's like, I never want to hear that man's voice again. I never want to hear that man's voice again. I've had to listen to jail calls. I've had to read the fucking letters. I've had to listen to all of it. I've had to listen to all of it. She's done with this dude. She does not want to hear his voice anymore. Because absolutely she was listening to those jail calls. Sorry, chat. It's just the facts. I had a defendant who was convinced that if people were using the bathroom on the jail calls, we would stop listening. We don't. It just pisses everybody off more. Pun intended. It really just pisses everybody off more. Yeah. Thanks for that. So, yeah, no, I'm sure there was a lot in those jail calls that they had to listen to. We've all been there. Well, those who have to listen to jail calls have been there. Yeah, jail calls is much. Law nerds, you are the best. Thank you. And I will see you guys soon. Members, I will see you tomorrow on a members only stream. If you're not a member, either on the channel or on the Law Nerd Lounge, I will see you on Wednesday. That's a trial, everybody. That's a trial. That's a trial. That's a trial. That's it. There are Lazulite, there are many jail call stories. Not all of them are internet appropriate, but there are many. Maybe we'll get into some of that on the members only tomorrow. We'll have to see. But law nerds, thank you. I will see you soon. That's not what I meant to do at all. Thank you. I will see you soon. You guys are the best. Thank you for joining me for another trial. Verdict Watch was a nail biter today, wasn't it? It was. But at the end of the day, I am not surprised the jury came to the decision that they came to. And to close out our final poll, would Banfield have found a way to do this without Juliana? 75% of you say yes. 25% of you say no, with over 10,000 votes. Right. I think that ties back to the culpability. And I think that's where the prosecution was leaning when the prosecution got to that plea deal with Juliana, that at the end of the day, Juliana's not doing this without Banfield, but Banfield very well might have decided to do this and have done it without Juliana and with somebody else. All right, law nerds, I love you. I love you. I will see you soon. You guys, another trial kicking off 2026 with the early trials. We'll be back in trial in just a few weeks, but we've got a lot of court to cover before then. So I will see you soon. Bye, guys. The outro should just be rolling, but I'll say bye again. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. See you soon. Thank you for joining me. Make sure you don't miss a live stream or any of the updates on the cases that you care about most with the Lawnerd app at lawnerd.app.com. It's a free download on iOS and Android, so I can keep you in the loop, because you never know when something's going to pop off. Thanks for being here, and thanks for being a Lawnerd.